it's time to take a golden bite size in this one because there's not much I want to talk about the movie without spoiling too much, and there isn't too much to talk about. So the movie that I saw is called Sisu, and what the Sisu is? Well, it is a Finnish word that it doesn't have kind of like a direct translation of what it means, but basically the term is used for someone who, according to the movie, it says that is someone that it is undying and undying with a lot of determination to not. It's kind of like a empowering word that it's what kind of makes tell people that doesn't give up. It has a lot of determination, a lot of will to live. That's the best way it's what I can remember because that's technically the opening of that movie. And well, long story short, the first time I saw about the assistant of this movie is because I saw the trailer while watching other movies, and I was like, "Whoa, this one looks awesome!" It kind of looks like one of those Western films that, it's more like kind of like set in World War II, and well, it is. It does. This is basically the whole the setting that it has, and the whole thing that you got me. I go and watch it, and lo and behold, I was really entertained. But boy, that I gotta warn you that this movie is a lot of fun, but that is if you can handle the blood, the gore, and the killings. Because this one is like many people are saying that this is basically a Finnish John Wick, which is just go there to see the spectacle of some badass building up corpses out of it. In this case, we have this prospector who he struck gold, and he gets a chunk of gold into his bag, and on his way somewhere he stumbles into Nazis, and the Nazis, they find out that he has gold and they want to kill him to get the gold. And that's all you need to know. There are some side things, like for example, the Nazis want the gold because they are losing the war, and they think that the gold is gonna be kind of like their last chance to have a good life before losing the war, because it's 1944. And also the Nazis they also capture some women, and the women are basically, being prisoners of the Nazis, and they kind of serve as a secondary character. But the main thing is that this guy is someone that you should not mess up with. You right in the get-go, when they build the backstory of our protagonist, you can tell that it is very bad news for the Nazis, especially in which he starts off killing off like 4 or 5 at the beginning because they just stumble on their gold. And boy, that it delivers on the gore and the violence is really graphic. I mean, like for example, knives in the head, quick stabs. There is even a moment in which he throws a landmine on the head of one Nazi, and he just blows to smithereens with body parts all over the place. Oh, and there's also a horse that gets blown up to Kingdom Come. That's how violent this movie is. There's even neck slices that granted, it's not gonna be exactly for the faint of heart. It's probably you have to be kind of like the guy who got used to Quentin Tarantino movie, that when he becomes very violent. And I really like the build up as well as the character, in which they start in which the whole movie is divided in chapters. So you're gonna it's almost like watching a play that you say chapter 1 the goal, chapter 2 the Nazis, and it goes on to 6 chapters. And by the way, they're quick chapters. It's not something like, for example, they did in Everything Everywhere All at Once, in which the first chapter is kind of like an hour long. No, not like that. This one is kind of like quick chapters, and it's kind of like a quick sit. Of course, it's exactly a 1 hour and 30 minutes of an action war western movie, and that's the tone that it took out. It's kind of like a western, and the guy is the guy you could say that is kind of like the Clint Eastwood of the movie, but more I mostly associate him more like Nicolas Cage in Willy's Wonderland, because he doesn't talk during the whole movie. You just see him and you know his presence. His presence is so much that when they begin to tell about the backstory of this guy, the Nazi headquarters, he's like that dude. This guy, you should not mess up with him. Get out. And of course, they don't do that because they want the gold. Because, well, that's the biggest motivation that this movie has. It's gold. And you can see I'm a little bit overhyping this movie when I don't want to do it much, but it kind of deserves it. Considering that there are many blockbuster movies that try to be philosophical and everything, this one is just go there and, well, has some violent fun in which it kind of makes me sound like a sadistic person. But okay, let's grind it up a little bit, because this is another one of those movies in which you have to there's some parts in which there's a little bit of logic that has some holes in it. Like, for example, because the protagonist has to survive. He kind of survives in things that he should be killed. Like, for example, the Nazis are kind of like terrible shots. They can't shoot for. They can sometimes they miss even with a sniper rifle. Although the protagonist gets hurt, of course, but he kind of survives all these odds. He even survives. How can I say, being hanged, and he does it in a way in which the funny thing is that when the hanging part happens, something happens there that I'm not gonna exactly tell you about it, but the audience reaction, the little audience reaction that I had, it was like, no! True story. This is a true story. I think a lot of the people are eating up this movie, and when that part happened, they wince. They wince audibly, and I did too. Not gonna lie, I did too. And then, of course, even at the end, where the action becomes a little bit more over the top. But you know what? The movie kind of deserves it a bit. So there's nothing much I have to say about this movie. But I had a lot of fun. It's just a simple plot. Nothing more, nothing less. It's just an action spaghetti western movie that they just do it just for an audience to get some kind of reaction out of this. So check it out. It take a golden opportunity to this movie and go check it out. But yeah, I did warn you. I did warn you of some of the things that I have. And with that said, I'm gonna not say anymore, because this is a movie that is worth watching, and it is a high recommendation for me. A really high golden recommendation.